this video is going to be how to make negative space. For this, you're going to need a white piece of paper, the 9 by 12. You're going to need a graphite stick, which is what you use to tone your paper by rubbing it tissue to kind of smear it. You're going to need a ruler because you need to mark this line and this line on your paper. And you're going to need a regular drawing pencil and an eraser for doing your actual drawing. And you'll need a dry erase marker, don't use Sharpie, dry erase marker, and your viewfinder to be able to mark on your viewfinder. For the first one, we did a setup that is 2 of the drawing bases, or the still life bases, tall. So I'm going to do my first demo for that one, and then there'll be a second one for the other still life. I'm using the smaller viewfinder that I have because otherwise it's really hard for me to show it, but you should be using your regular viewfinder size. Okay, so after I have toned my paper and I've drawn my crosshair lines, I have this set up in front of me, and then I'm going to clip my viewfinder together, making sure I'm lining up the lines. And then I'm going to hold it up in front of my thing that I'm drawing. So this is just a photo, but you would be doing this in real life. Okay, so then I'm going to find a composition, or the way that I like it to look on the page. I'm going to go with something like this. Okay, then I'm going to choose my base unit of measurement, which is going to be basically just like a shape that I want to start with. And it's going to be like a simple shape. So for this one, I'm going to choose this space. You can think about them as shapes or spaces in between the object, right? So this is the negative space that's in between the object. So now I have my basic shape that I'm going to use. It's called a basic unit. You can see it right there. Okay, I'm going to put this on a white piece of paper so that we can see it better. All right. Now my next step is just with my regular drawing pencil to then start sketching this shape on here. This is a different size and scale than this, but it's the same scale itself. Okay, so I'm going to look at this just like when I was doing my hand, and I'm going to see that this part of my basic shape goes, I'm going to do this with a darker pencil so you can see, goes across this y-axis. So I know that my basic shape starts along this axis somewhere. Okay, then I know that if this is about where my pencil is about halfway, I know that my shape ends a little bit before halfway. So I can find my halfway mark. My shape is going to end somewhere right around here. So I've decided that's how wide I want my shape to be. Now I can find this point by connecting where this goes with here. I can draw an imaginary line, and as long as my 2 papers are the same orientation, this one's not like this, but it's like the same orientation as this, I can line up my pencil on an imaginary line. So I'm lining it up at the edge of that basic shape. I bring it over here, and I know that my basic shape is going to be about this tall. Okay, I know it's halfway, so I know I want this amount to be the same as this amount. Okay, now I can do the same thing where I line up my pencil along this top edge, and I keep that same angle, and I bring it over. I know that I want my angle to be something like that. I'm going to go back and check it, and that's pretty darn close. Okay, your eraser is your good friend. I can't erase this very well because this is charcoal, because it's darker, but you erase if it's not right. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing down here. I know that this is going to go along kind of this line, like that angle. And then if I look at this, I also notice that this horizontal line isn't exactly straight up and down. So I can do the same thing here. Okay, so this is now my equivalent of my basic shape. Then I'm going to use my viewfinder and I'm going to hold it up. Pretend like I'm holding this in the air, right? I'm holding it up and I'm going to then find, let me line this up better, where the shapes are in relation to this shape. So when I say shape, I mean the spaces, right? So I now know that this space, this white space in here, is my negative space. That's what I'm going to draw next. I'm going to skip over the positive space, which I know is about this wide comparatively. So I'm going to skip that. And I want this to go to about right here. I know that this line continues down at the same angle. So if I continue this angle, I know that this will come up to about here at the same angle. This will come down because it should meet where this one is. And then I can draw this shape. Okay, I already can tell that something's off because in my basic shape here, or in my space here, this is really close to my x-axis and it's not here. So that means that I would need to go in and erase, which again I can't do super well. But I would need to go in and erase and bring this up a little bit. I can check this angle. I like that better, which then makes me think that this basic space or basic unit is not quite right either. So I can always go back in and adjust my basic unit and my other lines. If I can get my basic unit to be super precise and exact the first time, everything else should go really easily. Okay, so then I have my basic unit. I have this shape right here. I can check that. I like that. And then I can keep going. So next I would do this one. So I don't need to mark any more on this paper, on this viewfinder. I'm just using this to line it up every single time. Or if I get tired of that, I can just go over here and then I can start mapping it out without the viewfinder. Okay, so you'll notice that I'm not drawing. Sorry, that was the bell. You'll notice that I'm not drawing any of the actual stand itself. I'm just drawing the negative space because that's the whole goal. Okay, so you'll keep going like that. After you get all of these negative spaces filled in, then with your pencil, you'll shade the negative space so that it's dark. And with your eraser, you'll erase out the positive space so that it pops out.